What's up guys, it's your boy Elevate bringing you back another video. This is in-depth squad scrims tips number 3. Today we're going to be doing a video on how to successfully use your utility in scrim games. This is something a lot of teams struggle with. A lot of teams don't know when to use it, and a lot of teams don't know how to use it well, basically. And so I'm just going to go over 3 instances of when you should be using or how to use your utility in different situations. It's going to be a lot more VOD reviewing because it's a lot of what people suggested me to do, show a lot more VODs instead of just talking about it. Quickly, I'm going to go over my accomplishments so you don't think I'm just this faker who's giving advice. I've been in the Pro Discord for 3 months. I played under KOD, which was power ranked number 10. I came 3rd place in a $10,000 1v1 tournament, and I won $1,000. My teammate has won $48,000 in the summer skirmish and is on my team. He's actually not playing because he wasn't in this. He wasn't on today. He had a personal, like a family thing event that he had to go to. So I brought him on my team, but I'm very experienced. I've been in the Pro Court for a while. I'm an IGO. I've been IGOing multiple games. I played IM League on ESCA and CS:GO. And so I really hope you guys can learn something. I'm jumping right into this. I have 3 pointers of when to use utility. One is using utility to hold high ground from where you're at. Before I start, these 3 instances are when you should really only be using your utility, because a lot of teams waste utility and can't use it when they actually need it later on. There's 3 different times you should use it. 1, to hold high ground onto the teams that are lower than you, so using it to keep your high ground. The second is using your utility to regain high ground, or from like low ground from a turtle, using your utility on the high ground team successfully. And the third is using your utility to actually push into high ground. So this VOD, I actually do tip 1 and tip 3. I use my utility to push high ground, and I use our utility to keep high ground. By utility, I mean nades, launch pad, bounce pad, clingers, C4, anything that can literally blow up, any utility, I mean by that which can assist you. So in this VOD, we just found out the zone was actually, oops, I don't know why it just switched. The zone was actually very far away from us, and I knew this going into this, but I also knew that we had high ground, and I also knew that we had a launch pad. So with this, I knew our game plan was to either get high ground and build up, because that's honestly the best thing no matter what, is to have high ground. Don't rely on the launch pad to win you the game. You still want to give yourself the best odds. So right now we're on a pretty good mountain. We're probably the 2nd or 3rd best high ground spot in the game, but sadly we didn't get zone. As you can see, it's at the complete opposite of where we are at. And so with this, I called we're going to do a launch pad, and we use our utility here by going last second. I place the launch pad, but we're not leaving till zone starts coming in, and we use that launch pad to push high ground. The thing about this push, it could have been better because we didn't have any utility to help us push high ground other than the launch pad. So by that I mean we couldn't stink or clinger them and then push high ground. All I had was a rocket launcher, and from my angle I can't really rocket launcher anyone successfully, and I don't really know where these teams are. I know they're lurking in this giant mess, but I don't. So we're actually kind of going in with very little support other than the launch pad, but we have to do this in order to get high ground, especially if these new zones. High ground's super important. You notice how we don't take this launch pad early because we don't want anyone else to use this launch pad. So we want to use this launch pad as the zone is literally touching it. So, oh my gosh, why does it keep switching? Right here, another team is starting to go for high ground, and when I'm using this launch pad, I tell my team to follow me no matter what, but I told them the general area is over here. So we're about to launch pad, the zone's just about to touch us, and there we go, we take off, and everyone's following me. No one is going like to a set destination because that can change. So all of us land on here, and you notice immediately instead of going to kill these guys, we're building for height because height is really important. I'm using my utility as in the bouncer pads. Joseph used his bouncer pad. That's our utility use here to help us get onto high ground. And the moment Davon calls, he has height. Sheep calls, we have height. And Joe is like, okay. So Joe is supporting it. I have height. And I have my rocket launcher. So I'm immediately going to start using this rocket launcher to stop teams from building up to us. That is a threat because even though he didn't see us, he was the only other person who was really coming up to us. Notice how we have one scouting, just to like make sure no one's coming up. Davon's our support player, so he'll always stay up. That's just a good tip to have, is have a support player. And you'll see, I just have this rocket launcher. I'm not wasting it on anyone who's not trying to come up. If anyone starts coming up, that's the time I rocket launcher. And look how dominant our high ground is. No one else is now contesting because every time they do, I rocket launcher them down. I'm also, just another tip, just scouting to see where they're at, because if we can tarp just one layer above them, that's generally the best. You never want to be too high when you're tarping, because it just wastes a lot of mats, and it's super dangerous, because you can take fall damage. We're actually going to speed this up. And as this new zone comes in, this is very important. A lot of teams are going to start to try to push while zones are moving, because that's generally the best time to push high ground. A lot of teams are unstable, and that's the best time to use your utility. And so me and Davon is scouting and calling whoever's trying to come up, and then I'm literally just rocket launching them. So you'll see this in 20 seconds. I'm going to speed it up. And we'll slow it down. Go to me. We'll go gameplay. So this team over here is trying to go up to high ground, so I'm just rocket launching them down. Every time someone builds up, I rocket launch them right down. And eventually, they're literally forced to go down. This is how you've got to use your utility. I use my utility here to force them into low ground and keep us on high ground. This can be super effective with C4 and clingers too. And now we have this entire high ground to ourselves. And that's pretty much a one game. If you can dominate high ground this successfully, where no one else is going to push and everyone's going to be tarping, your high grounds can be like 20 layers thick if they try to shoot up at the end. And if you have heals / you have good players, you're going to win this game. And eventually, because of that we used our utility correctly, we win it. So just proving we won it. It's just us spamming, and then we throw nades down there and win it. So we won, as you can see here. Our next match is going to be a match Ghost Gaming won, and I'm going to show how they pushed high ground onto us very successfully. We won 3 in a row today, flexed on. So here, Ghost is one of the best teams in the Discord at pretty much everything. They win a ton of games, and it's because they're almost always on height. And they're so good at taking height and using their utility to take height. So I'm going to actually go back a bit and put on nameplates. So Ghost is over here. Our team launch pads onto this high ground here. And where's Ghost? Ghost is actually out. I play low view distance so you can't see Ghost. So there's a team here. We launch pad to build for height because this is in zone. And this is like omega height for us. And, oh, Ghost comes from over there, I guess. So Ghost uses this launch pad in order to support. And they wouldn't be going here if they knew that they didn't have utility to help. So Bizzle has stinks, I think. Or Bizzle has the nade launchers and Saf has stinks. So they throw the stink bombs onto high ground to just annoy us. And look at them. They're not even pushing. They're just forcing us down with these nades. And they just actually destroy us. They are supporting with nades and utility. DMO uses his bounce pads to go up for height. I would have trapped him here, but I didn't have traps, so I just need to be more aware there. And look, 2 people are up here. Bizzle isn't even building. He's literally just exploding us. And because of that, we're forced down and we're almost wiped. We only have Sheep and Davon left. All because they use their utility so well in order to push high ground. You'll never see Ghosts just go for a raw 4v4 build fight. They always use utility in order to help them from pushing. I'm pretty sure every team in this Discord has been retaken by Ghosts at some point because their takes are so clean with the utility they use. And that's why they're one of the best or the best team in squad scrims. The next thing we're going to show is the second option, which is using your utility while you're turtling. This is something a lot of people struggle with, and there should really only be 2 reasons you use your utility, and that's to either like while you're on low ground, and that's either to clean out all of low ground to yourself and or drop high ground down. So as you can see here, one second, I gotta find myself. This zone was on the side of this mountain. Oh, this is the wrong VOD again. Oh, my bad. So the zone was on the side of the mountain and over by Lonely Lodge, and basically we had gained all low ground. Frick, it's this one. We had gained all low ground to ourselves by using our splodes to clear out the teams below us and spamming. So if you're on the side of a mountain here, it's very hard to get shot back. You just edit a hole. Okay, you're up here and they're down here at the bottom. If you can spam them, especially with small zones, there's almost nowhere you can hide, and it's a really easy way to wipe all of low ground and have that low ground control to yourself, which is crucial. So right here, I'm actually going to skip a bit. I'm going to go a little farther. Okay, perfect. So right here we have this entire tarp, and I had already communicated to my team that I am going to be rocket launching them and not to block me out. So by how I am peeking at this point is I just build a wall. You can even do this like on the edge of the zone. You can kind of just like peek and do this, and I'm just shooting them down because earlier we used our nades back here. It's like I'll show. We used our nades right once this zone is done. We actually, is it here? Yeah. So we use our nades on this guy down here to clear out low ground. And so now that we have all low ground to ourselves, all we have to do is focus on getting high ground and abusing like our rocket launcher on this team high ground. And I have a rocket launcher, and you can see how all I'm doing here is just placing a couple floors and just going for peaks. I'm rocket launching, I hit that guy, down him. This team tarping, rocket launcher them, down another. I make one fall here and drop down into our turtle, so Sheep actually traps him. I think that was, yeah, the FPS DOF. It's actually a pretty dope play by a Sheep. And all I'm doing here, I almost actually rocket myself. All I'm doing here is just literally just shooting them down with my rockets. You can use clingers here, you can use nades, and this is just a perfect example of when to use your rockets. So I use it to clear low ground, and then because I've cleared low ground, all our focus is on is layering and using our rockets in order to like impact the teams that are tarping. Because if you have any splodes or anything in general, being able to use it on a team tarping is super effective with the current meta, and it's really just a pain in the ass. So we drop this. At this point, we call that there's only one up because we know 2 are down. I just saw him drop. And so me and Joe immediately go for this build fight here because we know that we have the advantage. And we've pretty much won at this point. We literally just have to chill and do nothing. And we're holding height. There's actually 2 alive, my bad. And all we have to do is literally sit. And all because we used our splits successfully to retake high ground. And our splits successfully while we're turtling to clear low ground and then focus on high ground. And this was a 10-team lobby, and we literally wiped almost everyone out here just by sploding them and dropping them. Because even if you drop them into another team and they have to fight. And we end up winning it because of this. He dies in the storm and we won, as you can see here. So those are the 3 reasons and the 3 tips that you should be using to use your explodes successfully. One, use it to keep high ground and using your explodes to hold high ground. Two is using your explodes to push high ground with the Ghost Gaming VOD. And three is using your explodes to drop high ground down / control low ground. I hope you guys enjoyed these in-depth tips. As always, leave comments. Tell me what you're thinking. I always answer these comments. If you want to get started with Scrims, FM Player League has open invites. Step 1 is a huge league. All these things are here to help you and get you started with Scrims. Please do start it. It's never too late. I started in Season 3. I'm already here. It's crazy. Hard work always pays off. Don't feel overwhelmed by all this because it does take a lot to learn. But anyone can do it, and I truly believe that if you put the hard work in, you can. Leave comments. I read them. I respond. And as always, I'll be back with another episode. Tell me what you want to see. And hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.